Hey, I'm Siobhan, community cultivator and founder of Be Free Project. The Be Free Project podcast was created for community, sisterhood, and personal growth. Each week, you'll be inspired and motivated to do the work to show up for yourself so you too can feel fulfilled and be free. Now grab a pen and a notebook and let's get into the show. The best decision that you can make today is joining the Be Free Inner Circle at BeFreeInnerCircle.com, a community for like-minded women to find their forever friends and get accountability to do their personal growth work. Your membership includes a private, exclusive community of women who are not only showing up for themselves, but for one another. Weekly live events with me and or guest speakers, daily accountability so this way you can finally get stuff done, mentorship from yours truly, and so much more. Now, there's no long-term commitment and you can cancel at any time. However, I can guarantee the moment you join, you're going to feel a warm embrace and you're going to want to stick around. Every single member of the Be Free Inner Circle will walk away with clarity, fulfillment, and confidence because guess what? When you're around me, you're going to win. So come and grow inside the Be Free Inner Circle at BeFreeInnerCircle.com. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Be Free Project podcast. As always, you know I am so happy, so happy that you are tuning in for another week. Okay, so this week, what I am loving is journaling. And if you've been listening to this podcast for even just a week, you probably can see how important journaling is to me because every week I share a new journal prompt with you for you to reflect on. And I started journaling when I was 14. My 8th grade teacher, Miss Gilmore, gave me my first journal. And I remember being so excited and so happy when she gave it to me. Number one, I'm an only child. So this was my way to kind of share what was going on in my head in my journal. And it was just a beautiful way and an outlet to express myself. Fast forward to today, and I have been journaling ever since. And I even have all of my journals from the very first one that I received. And periodically, I would go back and I would read some of my journals and think like, man, you've grown so much. Even when I look at the journals over the last 2 years, and, I talked about on the podcast where in 2020, it was my glow up season. And I would also call that year my year of awakening. And I've done a couple of episodes on the podcast about that. And I'm so glad that I journaled everything that I was experiencing because now, 2 years later, the seeds that I was sowing, the things that I was working on, I am now seeing the harvest of that, I would say. I also would want to point out that I'm able to see how much I've grown on paper, the things that I was dealing with then that I'm finally overcoming, if you will. And then I can also see the things that I'm still working on or that still needs work, right? And so journaling is just a beautiful, therapeutic, healing way of really expressing yourself and your feelings on paper. And I know it's a struggle and a challenge for a lot of people because they don't know where to start with journaling. My recommendation is every week when I share a journal prompt, write that down in your journal and let that be your starting point and then see what happens from there. I also will say that I will encourage you to get a pretty journal, like go to TJ Maxx or Marshall's or Target and find a journal that really inspires you so that you will want to write. And then lastly, don't put too much pressure on yourself about it. Like if all you have is a word or a sentence for the day, that is enough. If another day you feel like writing 3 pages, let that be enough. Like there's no pressure to write every day and there's no pressure to write like so much. It's like it just depends on what you're feeling in the moment. And I'm going to highly encourage that you get started because it has been a beautiful practice that I have in my life that has been really, really life-changing. Okay. So on to today's topic, which is why you need to celebrate yourself and how to get started. A few months ago, one of my members inside the Be Free Inner Circle, she shared with me how hard it is for her to celebrate herself, and she didn't really know how. And I promised her that I will record a podcast on this topic because I know for sure that she's not alone and that so many women, specifically Black women, can relate to not knowing how to celebrate ourselves because it's not something that we grew up seeing, right? And for me, being an Enneagram 3, which is an achiever, and if you're not familiar with the Enneagram, definitely do a Google search and take the assessment. I highly recommend it. But I am naturally driven. I am goal-oriented. I want to succeed. The thing with that is that as soon as I accomplish one thing, I could be on to the next. And I noticed as I wasn't taking time to honor and celebrate the progress that I was making in my life. And it's really easy to do that if you're someone like me who always wants to take action. And what I'm learning in real time, y'all, is how to slow down, how to surrender, how to allow, and how to just be, right? And I can't remember when I decided to do this, but I'm just going to guess maybe back in 2020, into 2019. But I started creating a list on my phone called my celebration lists. And I started keeping track of the things that I would do for myself when I had something to celebrate. And it was really fun to do because it was a working list. So whenever I would think of something, I would jot it down on my app. So I would put down things like get a new MacBook Air, or I never owned a pair of Air Max, so I want to buy a pair of those. Get a facial steamer, a leather purse, build on my sleeve tattoo that I'm working on. And I'm telling you, it has been really fun creating this list. And every time since then that I had something to celebrate, I would look at my list and buy something off of it. Now, it's not that I always have to buy something for myself, but this was just a way for me to get started. But even with celebrating, just taking a moment to acknowledge the progress that I'm making in my life on my personal growth journey. So this way, I'm not so quick to move on to the next thing, and I'm actually taking in what's happening and allowing myself to pause, take it all in, and celebrate that moment. Now, I'll be honest, it is, again, taking some time to get used to celebrating myself because it's not something that I witnessed growing up. And it's not something that I see women around me doing on a day-to-day basis. However, for me, and this is what I mean by being free, is I want to experience my life fully. And I don't want to just be doing, and not having fun while I'm doing it. And I now celebrate myself for everything, right? Now, I will put a pin here and say I do get reminders from friends because I'm human and I do forget. And it's very easy to fall back into old patterns. Like just the other day, my friend, I was sharing with her about a great email that I received from someone that had listened to my podcast, and they were just inquiring about some things from me. And just the fact that I was visible to this particular person is a big deal. And my friend was like, how are you going to celebrate that? And I'm like, celebrate? She was like, yeah, you've been working on being visible, and been speaking about that and doing your healing work around that. And this is something worthy of celebration, whether you move forward with it or not. And I'm like, you're right. And so I'm like, okay, I got to think about how I'm going to celebrate this moment. Most recently, I would say my celebration has been tattoos. So I am working on a sleeve, right? And so I'm almost done with my sleeve, actually. I have a couple more pieces that I'm going to add, and then I will be done on my left arm. But that has been something that has been very exciting because I'm like, oh, it's time to get a new tattoo. But it is easy to fall back into old patterns. So this is why when I do something amazing, my friends are quick to ask me, how are you going to celebrate that moment? And I do the same thing for them because it is a practice that we have to get used to because we are not used to seeing it on a day-to-day basis. And so let's first acknowledge about why it's hard for you to celebrate yourself. And so I'm just going to give you a list of some things that came top of mind. And one of the reasons why it may be hard for you to celebrate yourself is because you didn't grow up learning to celebrate yourself, nor did you see examples. So you probably grew up seeing your mom or your dad or your family members work. And it was rare that they had a celebration. Maybe for their birthday, they would have a party, get gifts and things like that. But that's as far as it went. Versus, I completed a year of therapy and I've grown so much. How am I going to, honor that? Or I finally set these healthy boundaries with family members and friends. How am I going to celebrate myself? But because we didn't see that growing up, it's going to be really hard for you to even acknowledge that this is something worthy of celebrating. Another reason that it may be hard for you to celebrate yourself is that you don't feel like you've done anything worth celebrating. Listen, the fact that you are breathing, okay? The fact that you are breathing and you're showing up for yourself every single day in a way that feels good to you is worthy of celebration, right? And I'm not here to say, oh, this is what you should celebrate. No, you get to determine that for yourself. But I can promise you that there are beautiful things that are happening in your life every single day, big or small, that's worth celebrating. Another reason that it may be hard for you to celebrate yourself is that you're too focused on doing the next thing. So again, this is where I'm guilty, like I would do one thing on my list and I'm like, I'm on to the next. And so because I'm so focused on getting to this level of success or getting to this level of achievement, I was struggling with pausing and say, whoa, 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 wait. Before we move on to the next thing, let's celebrate that you even did this thing, right? Let's celebrate that you have amazing women joining the Be Free Inner Circle every month. Let's celebrate that you've consistently been going on your walks every single day. Let's celebrate that you finally decided to work on your father wounds, right? Like there's so much that I can celebrate, but when I'm focused on doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, I miss out on honoring these amazing growth moments for myself. Right? And so think about yourself as well. Like if you're always focused on, all right, I got the degree. Now I got to go to grad school and now I got to get the job and now I got to get the husband and now I got to have the kids and now I got to do this and I got to do that. You're so focused on achieving that you're not celebrating. So I want you, and I'm speaking from experience, right? This ain't like I got all my stuff together because I do not, okay? Like take a moment to slow down and look at your life and say, oh, I did this amazing thing. I did this. I did this. Let me celebrate it in some way. And stay tuned. I'm going to give you some tips at the end on some different ideas to help you celebrate, right? Another reason that it may be hard for you to celebrate yourself is that you weren't taught in our culture as Black women that it's okay to celebrate yourself, right? You weren't taught that. Other than if it's your birthday, you not taught. I'm just going to say I wasn't taught, right? It's not something that I see that's common. So this is a new habit that I have to practice. And this is why I want to express it with my community, because I feel like if I feel like this, I'm sure there's other women out there that can relate as well, that we're not taught to celebrate the big and the small things, or it has to be this grand, big thing that you get to celebrate. And it's like, no, every day I'm worthy of celebration. And here are the reasons why, you know? The next one is you don't have people in your corner inspiring you to celebrate. So like I mentioned, my friends, like I do this for them. Like whenever something amazing has happened in their life, and it literally can be anything, I'm like, hey, how you going to celebrate that? What you gonna do, And even in the Be Free Inner Circle, that's something that I incorporated inside the community. And that's why the conversation got started with the young lady who said, she didn't know how to celebrate herself, because every week I'm asking, how are you going to celebrate yourself this week? When we have our live calls, I'm like, how are you going to celebrate yourself? And sometimes it is hard for women to come up with ways to celebrate themselves. But as I'm continuing to teach and show them how I'm doing it in my life, they are leaning into that for themselves. So you need to have people around you that will inspire and encourage you to celebrate yourself versus people who are in the same space as you and don't know how. Then it's easy for you to become just like them, right? And then lastly, a reason that you may feel that it's hard for you to celebrate yourself is because you believe you haven't finished enough to actually celebrate. And I want to tell you that you have finished enough to celebrate. The fact that you're doing your inner work on your personal growth journey is worthy of celebration. The fact that you started therapy, right? The fact that you may had to homeschool your kids for a period of time when the pandemic was really heightened is something to celebrate, right? Like there's something every day that you don't necessarily have to finish, but you started it, right? You started it. And you get to celebrate your accomplishments, big or small. And I'm expressing this to you because I say this probably every episode, I feel like, is that doing the inner work, it is hard, right? This is hard work. And so I don't want you to be on this race of like, and I'm saying this because I'm talking to myself, like, I want you to enjoy your life and celebrate yourself as you're doing your work so that it feels good from the inside out. So here are some reasons why it's important for you to celebrate yourself. Celebrating you is an act of self-love. It's you looking at yourself and saying, I love myself so much that I am going to celebrate in a way that feels good to me. It is a beautiful act of self-care and self-love to celebrate you. Another reason why it's important for you to celebrate yourself is because, again, you are doing a lot of inner work. And it's important that you take moments to honor and celebrate the work that you're doing. You know, I want you to enjoy your journey so it doesn't just feel like you're going, and you're not experiencing pleasure as you're doing your work. And then another reason that it's important for you to celebrate yourself is because you'll become more confident and more energized. The journey will feel better for you. And you'll also be an inspiration to others. So if you have children, if you have nieces and nephews or people, younger people that are looking up to you, be an inspiration to them and show them that by you celebrating yourself, that they too can start to celebrate themselves. And then we can have this beautiful world where women all over are celebrating themselves. But we have to be the first, right? We have to do our own work and other people will be inspired by that. So I want to give you some tips on how to start celebrating yourself. Number one, I want you to create a celebration list. So whether you use your journal or the notes app on your phone, but just start making a list of all the things that you want. And literally, it could be anything. Specifically, that you want for your life or for yourself, right? So I told you I had my computer on there. I had tattoos. I had shoes. I had a facial statement. Like you name it, it went on the list. It don't matter how big it was. And I wasn't worrying about when I was going to get it, how I was going to get it. I just was concerned with making the list so that when something came up that was worthy of celebrating, I had a list to pull from versus something happened and I didn't know what to do because I hadn't thought about it yet. So this is just a way to get your wheels spinning to start to think about, okay, what are some of the things that I want to do for myself when I have a moment to celebrate? And this is a working list. So I want you to add ideas as they come to mind, right? Whenever, just begin to keep adding to your list. I also want you to lean into finding joy every single day in your life. Practice gratitude, and this will open you up to celebrating your life a little bit more. I also want you to keep a list of the things that you are accomplishing each day, right? So I used to do this more religiously, but not so much anymore because I'm an Enneagram 3 and I'm trying to pull back a little bit. But keep a list of your wins for the day and what you're accomplishing, right? So this is something that we do in the Be Free Inner Circle every week. I'm like, share your wins for the week, right? Write down the things that you are getting done on a day-to-day basis, and you'll see that you are getting way more done than you're giving yourself credit for. Again, you can keep track of this in your journal, or you can use the reminder app. Whenever you feel like celebrating yourself, do it. You do not need permission. You don't need to check in with anyone. Whenever you feel like something is worthy of celebrating, look at your list and do something off of your list. All right? You don't have to wait for some miraculous moment to celebrate. You get to celebrate every single day, big or small. And you get to decide what's worthy of celebrating. Again, I encourage you to share with friends that you want to start celebrating yourself more. This way you'll have some accountability. I encourage you to join the Be Free Inner Circle because we are talking about celebrating ourselves every single week. And I would love for you to be a part of that. And you can learn more about the Be Free Inner Circle and get on the wait list. So when the doors open, you'll be the first to know by going to BeFreeInnerCircle.com, because I would love to celebrate with you on all of the wins that are happening in your life. Keep in mind that it does take time to get used to celebrating yourself, because this is you learning and practicing a new habit. And this is why I'm saying you need community and accountability, because it's easy to say, oh, okay, I'm going to listen to this podcast today and I'm going to write down what I'm going to celebrate. And then a month or two and you totally forgot about that list. No. You need accountability. You need support. You need community. And that's why I encourage you to join the Be Free Inner Circle so you can get that and so much more. Again, BeFreeInnerCircle.com. Now, if you are constantly doing and not being, you are going to miss out on life. You will just be existing, going through the motions, and you will not be living. Life is busy and time goes by really, really fast. And I want to encourage you that I want you to enjoy yourself while you're doing your inner work, right? And this is something that I am putting into practice as we speak. I had a great friend remind me that I needed to slow down, that I needed to kind of take in everything that was happening, and I needed to rest more. And so with resting, I'm learning more about what gives me pleasure. What do I enjoy? How do I just take a moment to just take it all in? This way, I'm not always doing work, inner work, but I'm also enjoying my life as well. So you don't need a reason to celebrate. It's just the fact that you are showing up for yourself is worthy of celebration. And I really want you to lean into that. So here are some ideas on how to celebrate yourself. You can throw yourself a just because party. Yes, which I feel like I am totally going to do this, but throw yourself a just because party. Prepare or order your favorite food, have a glass of wine, put on your cute, sexy dress, put your makeup on or get your makeup done, your lashes, all the things. Listen to some good music. And don't forget, I created a whole playlist for y'all for the Be Free Project community on Spotify. I'll link to that playlist again in the show notes so y'all can take a listen. I love it, love it, love it. And there's so many different playlists that you can check out. And then dance and just enjoy yourself. So this just because party could just be solo with you, or you can invite friends to join in. And I think that will be a great time to celebrate yourself. You can go to your favorite bookstore or coffee shop and just enjoy some alone time. Maybe you purchase yourself a new plant, write yourself a love letter, buy yourself your favorite flowers, visit an art museum, go for a walk on the beach. Yo, that's what I want to do like ASAP, okay? Create something like a piece of art, take a pottery class, anything that allows you to be creative. Get a facial, treat yourself to ice cream. I mean, it literally can be anything. So it's not necessarily like you always have to buy yourself something. You can just take a moment to acknowledge and honor in a way that feels good to you, right? You get to determine how you want to celebrate. So inside the Be Free Inner Circle, I mentioned to you guys that we have conversations all the time about how you're going to celebrate yourself. And I want to share just a few of the responses that came up with how members are celebrating themselves within the community. First, I'll shout out myself. I recently bought a ticket to the Alvin Ailey Dancers, and I bought a great ticket, y'all, which I'm really excited about. And so I will be going to see the Alvin Ailey Dancers in April, and I'm super duper excited because I love the Alvin Ailey Dancers. This will be my third time seeing them, and I'm excited. So that's one way that I'm celebrating myself. Sharice purchased a cute new colorful backpack for herself. Crystal started making and selling her jewelry, and she bought herself a scale and a new laptop bag. Erica took time to pour back into herself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically after having a speaking engagement. Sierra bought herself a sexy black gown, and Brianna met up with friends for karaoke. So as you can see, there's so many different ways that you get to celebrate yourself. I'm just sharing a few members who share this in the community, but we are always talking about celebration inside the community because I want the women to get used to doing it for themselves so that it becomes second nature. Now, I can go on and on and on about what I love, as it relates to the women starting to learn how to celebrate themselves. And the fact that I have learned it for myself and how important it is, and then I'm teaching the Be Free Inner Circle members how to do it, and they are actually doing it, I feel so good. Because that means that they are understanding that they deserve to be celebrated and that the celebration starts with them doing it for themselves and not waiting on somebody else to do it for them. And as you can see, that there's so many beautiful ways that you get to celebrate yourself. And again, it can be something big and can be something small. Don't forget to keep your list of things so then that way, when you're ready to celebrate yourself, you have something to pull from. And again, lastly, I just want to say this. It takes time to celebrate yourself. It takes time to learn this new habit. Be easy on yourself as you learn this new habit and put celebrating yourself into practice. All right, so the journal prompt for this week is, what are some of the ways that you can start celebrating yourself? And don't forget, you can always share your responses with me on Instagram at Be Free Project or Siobhan Sudbury, whichever you choose. I would love, love, love to know how you're celebrating yourself. Your affirmation for the week is, you're worthy of celebrating yourself every single day. All right, so my coffee giver of the week is Sylvia. Hey, Sylvia. And she simply says, appreciate you. Thank you, Sylvia, for treating me to coffee. I deeply appreciate it. Don't forget, you can always do so as well. There's always a link in my weekly newsletters that go out, but then also you'll find the link to treat me to coffee inside the show notes. Just click the link and you can treat me to 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, however many you choose. I'll tell you the coffee that I'm drinking now. So I like to go to a local coffee bar called the Copper Moon, and I love, love, love to get a London Fog latte. And then I just also bought some coffee from Trader Joe's. The flavor is Sumatra. My great friend H, he told me about it, and it's really, really good. So that's what I'm drinking now. But don't forget, you can treat me to coffee anytime you like. Just click the link in the show notes. As always, I would love for you to share this episode with a friend that you want to encourage or inspire and say, hey, girl, hey, listen to this episode and let's talk about ways that we're going to celebrate ourselves. Don't forget that you can rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And I hear now that you can rate on Spotify. So if you can do that and you're listening on Spotify, do that for me. Make sure you're subscribed to the Be Free Project podcast or following it wherever you listen. I deeply appreciate it. And I would love for you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and let me know, what do you think of the episode? That way, more and more women can see that this podcast exists and I can inspire more women to do their inner work on their personal growth journey. And until next time, girl, be free. Thank you for listening to today's episode. And now I want to personally invite you to join the Be Free Inner Circle waitlist. That's right, the doors are currently closed. However, they will be opening soon. And I want you to be the first person to know when you can join the most amazing community for Black women to do their inner work on their personal growth journey. And everyone on the waitlist will have a special treat from yours truly. So head over to BeFreeInnerCircle.com and hop on the list. And I can't wait to see you in the community.